Now, in this segment, we're going to look at evidence that from Florida to California, the American military is training to take on the American public, and that the police are playing martial law. Take a look at this video from Florida, for example. This is a cop who pulled over someone who evidently, if you listen to the conversation, had flipped a bird at this officer.
I'm really getting pulled over by a tank right now.
Yes, sir.
You know, the Supreme Court actually ruled that you're legally allowed to flick off police officers.
Okay.
I'm between the headlights. I'm getting...
Stand between the headlights
Yes,
where
sir.
I told you
Yes,
to.
sir. Yes, sir.
If I have to ask you again, you will be put in handcuffs and arrested for
sir.
resisting. Extending your arm out the driver's side window of a vehicle and flicking somebody off is an improper hand signal. There are legitimate hand signals to use.
So I'd ask you, what's more offensive? Flipping somebody a bird, exercising your free speech rights, or the cops playing at martial law? And of course, we've had a lot of people sending us information as we asked for you to take pictures of what you're seeing all across the country with these military exercises that are coming in. But there's more to it than that even. We've got the government admitting everywhere that they're working on law enforcement. Look at this article that was on Infowars.com today. In a cameras everywhere culture, science fiction becomes reality. Now, this was an LA Times article, and they're talking about how we all have cameras, so I guess we're not supposed to worry that the government is watching us 24/7 everywhere we go. We have cameras too. Nevertheless, they start to talk about what the government does, and listen to this admission from the LA Times. Just throw this in as a matter of fact. The U.S. Department of Defense is developing video monitoring technology called Mind's Eye to predict crime before it happens. And they say, yeah, this is kind of like Minority Report. Now stop and think about that. Not only is this pre-crime, but we have the Department of Defense working on a pre-crime scenario. Sounds like NDAA, doesn't it? Detention by the military without being charged by with a crime for an indefinite period of time. That's something we should all be very worried about. But take a look at this picture that we got from another reporter on the street. A citizen reporter sent us these trucks. He says this was in Meridian, Mississippi, near the intersection of Interstate 20 and 59. He says, I followed them to where they were headed south on 59. That's heading towards Hattiesburg, which is home to Camp Shelby, which is listed on the original Jade Helm map. Now, look at the picture closely. Do you see these trucks? Look at the 3% logo on this truck. They're training people to look at the Patriot movement, going right down the script provided by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And of course, there was another admission at the Dirty Bomb drill in California that we were uninvited to. Evidently now the government is going to set in judgment as to whether or not they like our reporting and not give us access. But of course, citizen journalists showed up anyway. And we got some great clips. We had this clip that showed over the weekend, raw footage of the drills where the military is exercising against civilians. Doesn't look like they're trying to help anybody. Doesn't look like they're trying to respond to a dirty drill. No, they're responding to a crowd yelling racist. And then later on, we have this bombshell video that we've got from CourageSowers.com. We're going to talk to Keith Johnson now. A bombshell video showing the crowd yelling, I'm a sovereign citizen, I don't have to listen to you. Let's go now to Keith Johnson from CourageSowers.com. Keith Johnson, Courage Sowers, thank you for joining us. Now, tell us why you were there, why that was important for you to go to this drill.
Well, I was there because I live in the Sacramento area, and I knew they were having the drill. And what I needed to do was just to make sure that there was someone there to get some kind of coverage, some kind of footage, because I know that they were only allowing mainstream media.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're not going to get the true story there.
Yes, and you've got some bombshell footage, and we're going to show that. But first, kind of give us an overview of what you saw there at the drill.
Well, it was in the Army National Guard compound. It wasn't actually out in the streets. And I was walking around trying to find a way to get some footage, and there's an apartment complex for retired citizens next door, and their door was open to the yard, and I went in there, and I ended up right next to the place, and I saw them doing their hazmat decontamination drills, and then there was the drills with the National Guard doing the riot control. And they were actually about 20, 30 feet away, so we were able to have great footage of that.
Yeah, you got very good footage.
Just happened.
Yeah.
Good.
We had some that was uploaded, some raw footage that people sent to us this weekend, and you could see the crowd control. That was disturbing to see that this was supposedly a terrorist event, but of course they were using it as the military controlling American civilians. But you got very close, and we're going to play that in just a moment. But tell us what else you saw there.
Well, besides that, I saw a lot of wasted money and time. There was a lot of people standing around. There was a taco truck out there. They're eating. It just seemed to me it was a waste of time. And then I just happened to be rolling, the footage, and one of the actors just shouted out, "I am a sovereign citizen. I refuse to recognize you guys."
Yeah.
I think you can hear my voice on there. So that was interesting.
Let's play that footage now, guys. Let's roll that footage.
It seems like what's the problem here? Can I do something about it?
They're training exactly for what
Hey,
is going to happen. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Not much. I'm Dan.
Dan, Aaron.
Yeah. You coming out just to watch it?
Put you in the corner, kind of toast somebody up.
Yeah. Good. How you doing?
I left my camera hat in the truck. I went to.
Mine's I got another camera too.
No, I'm.
These are the two victims.
That was pretty amazing. I know why that disturbs me. Tell the audience why that disturbs you to see that at a terrorist drill.
Well, you would think if it was a dirty bomb and there was a terrorist event, they should be training how to help the wounded, how to secure evidence, and restore order.
Exactly.
And I really don't see why, when you have young guardsmen, putting I am a sovereign citizen into that whole scenario, to me, was disturbing.
And that's what we saw was the crowd control and essentially portraying Americans, sovereign citizens, as the enemy, as the terrorists, I think.
Yes, I agree. I think what they're doing is they're taking young, impressionable soldiers and they're kind of equating in their minds subtly terrorist attacks with the sovereign citizens, the patriot movement, if you will.
Yes, and not so subtly. We have other things that have been sent to us by other people showing, for example, the 3%er logo on trucks that are going to be used, presumably in some of these training exercises. That's precisely what they're doing, Keith. They're training people, training the soldiers to see citizens who stand up for their rights as the enemy, as terrorists.
Yes, I agree.
Well, that's
what I saw.
Tell us a little bit about your site before we go. It's CourageSowers.com. What do you normally cover there?
That's actually my wife and I started that site because we've decided time to get off the sidelines and join the fight. We're focusing on faith, health, food, gardens, and liberty.
Great.
In those three areas.
You certainly did a great job of covering this event. Thank you so much for doing that and for sowing courage, because I think it is really courageous to go into these areas where you know you're not welcome and take videos that the public should see. The government should not be operating like this in secret. It should not be determining who gets to go to events and who doesn't. Thank you so much for showing up and filming it anyway. Thank you. Thank you, Keith Johnson. And again, we need 1,000 Paul Reveres out there, people just like Keith Johnson with CourageSowers.com. If you want to send us your tips, send them to jadehelm@infowars.com.